It's Swift 98.7. I'm David Kuzer, and joined now over the phone with Eric Ewis. He's the Director of Marketing at Silver Star Communications. Eric, thank you so much for chatting with us here this evening.
I appreciate you having me, Dave. Thank you.
Eric, something Silver Star is doing right now is increasing the number of public Wi-Fi locations, or hotspots as they're called, for people to access the internet. And what was before a pay-for service now is actually free to the public as just a nice service from Silver Star. Maybe talk a little bit about that and how people can access these public Wi-Fi locations.
So with all of our students essentially learning from home now and more people working from home, it means even more to us to the FCC's Keep Americans Connected pledge. And part of that pledge is making sure that there's open Wi-Fi hotspots to any American who needs them. And we had one hotspot at the Lincoln County Fairgrounds. That one was already set up, and it was a pay-for site, which we opened up to be free and password-free. And we started getting together thinking about where we could put some other Wi-Fi hotspots up. And so very quickly, we banded together, and we now have Wi-Fi hotspots in Victor, Teutonia, Soda Springs, Irwin, Thane, Alta, and Driggs.
Wow.
And in the next week or so, we're planning on a few more locations, so stay tuned for that.
Exciting. So basically people can come to these locations and they can access the internet for free. Is that correct?
That is correct. We encourage that you don't congregate close together and keep your social distancing, but yep, that's what they're for.
Well, that's a great service that you're providing to the public. And I'll tell you, if the internet wasn't a popular commodity before, it certainly is even more so now. Obviously, as you mentioned, that social distancing that's going on and people staying at home and having to, of course, isolate themselves from others, that brings more internet usage than ever before. Maybe talk to us a little bit about how that's affecting Silver Star and the infrastructure that you guys have.
So over the years, we've invested millions of dollars in our network, and right now we have a 100 gigabyte pipe, which means the throughput of the pipe can handle that much data at any given time. And so currently, at least over the last 2 weeks, we've seen about a 20% increase in usage, but even with that, we're only utilizing about a third of our network capacity right now.
Wow.
So even with increased usage moving forward, depending on how long this situation lasts, we're in really good shape to accommodate a lot more usage.
Wow, that's fantastic. So Netflix, YouTube it up, in other words.
Yeah, all that stuff. We hope that folks are concentrating on their work and learning right now, but certainly you need to be entertained. So
yes.
Yep, all of the streaming and fun things you can do on the internet as well.
It's Eric Ewis, Director of Marketing at Silver Star Communications. Eric, that's good to know because I know Netflix and YouTube have both come out with a generic setting where they've now decreased the quality just to make it easier on internet service providers to get the demand through. But sounds like that's not necessarily an issue with Silver Star at all.
Yeah, no, we're really well positioned to be able to accommodate customers' needs, and we're in a good position to accommodate more usage. And I think a lot of people don't know other things about our network, whereas we build our fiber optic network in rings. And so there's a lot of redundancy capability there. So in other words, if someone were to nick a fiber optic cable with a backhoe, essentially the data would turn around and go the other way so you don't get an internet interruption.
Pretty amazing stuff. Now, something else that I think people maybe don't know about is kind of how this all works. And something you mentioned to me is something called peering locations. Maybe touch a little bit on that.
Sure. So in order to get from here to the rest of the world, we actually have relationships with other internet housing companies in locations like Idaho Falls, Salt Lake, Seattle, Chicago. And then we're also a member company of a company called Syringa Networks in Boise, Idaho. And they have connections not only more in the United States, but all over the world. So what that means is we're actually getting a direct connection from our network to all of these key locations. So others are in Los Angeles, New York, Minneapolis, St. Louis, Dallas. There's too many to mention. But what that means is we have a really pure connection to the World Wide Web.
That's pretty amazing, and something that Silver Star's done and is committed to is to actually build the infrastructure you even have going beyond that, correct? It sounds like over the next 10 years, $100 million are going to be invested in the infrastructure system. Tell us a little bit about that. What kind of things can we anticipate in the future for Silver Star?
Well, late last year, we made an announcement that we've made a commitment to invest $100 million over the next 10 years into our network for the most part. Some of that money is going into other places. But essentially, right now, we deliver internet in a few different ways. One, of course, is fiber optics. There's DSL, and then there's fixed wireless service. And, of course, fiber optic is the wave of the future. And so that's what we're concentrating on building out. And over the coming years and this year, we have several hundred customers that we're going to be bringing fiber to. We have a really cool new thing on our website, and it's called the Fiberhood Finder. And so essentially what we're asking folks to do is to come to the website, silverstar.com, and click on the Fiberhood Finder and see where we're building out. But you can also register for the next year and the following year. And essentially what we're trying to do is see who has the most interest in building out fiber, for the most part in 2021 and 2022.
Wow. So basically fiber is going to become more mainstream than ever before, even in our rural areas.
Yeah, hugely so. I mean, it really is the only way to accommodate future needs, bandwidth needs, internet needs. And the neat thing about fiber is it can expand. It's very scalable. So you can continue to make more capacity based on the equipment that's on the either end of the fiber strands.
Eric Gewis, Director of Marketing at Silver Star Communications. Anything else you wanted to touch on here tonight as we talk about with the quarantine and folks getting on the internet? Really, you don't have any suggestions on having to cut back on internet usage because it's not a problem.
Well, at least on our network, it's not. I guess if any of our customers out there have any needs or questions, we're trying to practice social distancing. We've actually temporarily closed our retail stores, but we certainly encourage everyone to reach out to us by phone or visit silverstar.com and chat with us, or fill out an inquiry form. So we're not shutting down and we're not stopping business. We're continuing to serve our communities.
Well, we appreciate that, Eric. Thanks so much for taking time to chat with us tonight.
You're so welcome, and everybody stay safe.
It's Eric Gewis from Silver Star Communications on SVI.